GBPUSD. And remember, last week too, we were quite profitable on the GBPUSD as we were able to take advantage of the first phase of last week started with a bearish momentum. Remember, as we saw price action started last week's trading session at around 1.200 level. So this was where price started last week, and we were lucky enough to join this bearish engulfing candle into our TP target at the 1.18 area. And we are also lucky enough to join this bullish momentum after sighting a reversal pattern had that demand zone on our lower time frame to somewhere around here. So it was quite an even situation last week as price closed the week at the area where it started the week. Now, if we take an outlook at the daily time frame here, it is quite obvious that price action has been bullish in this market. At least in the last 4 to 5 months now, it has been quite bullish on this chart. And to further emphasize the buying strength in this market, you can see what happened since the month of September. Our price action continued to find higher lows here to give us that result and bullish trend line that you can see on your screen. And look at what happened. The bullish momentum continued, and as soon as it got into the 1.24500 level, that was in the month of December rather, we saw this rejection by the sellers around that area to negate all attempt by the buyers. Price action dropped back into that demand zone, which also shares a beautiful confluence with that bullish trend line. We saw another bullish momentum started this year at around the 1.18500. This was exactly where price started this year, as you can see, just right above that strong demand zone at the 1.18500 level. And as soon as price came back into the 1.2500, we saw another sell pressure resume, and it was at this point we saw the breakdown of that bullish trend line, which happens to be the first time the bullish trend line will be broken in the last 5 months. And this was a beautiful signal for us to sell, and we were lucky enough to be part of that sell momentum. And what you will notice here is that in the last couple of weeks, price action appeared to have come back into that demand zone within the 1.18500 and the 1.200 area. So this area has been majorly a strong demand zone in the last 4 months, I guess. Okay, 4 months now. That area has been a strong demand zone, and buyers had continued to hold their ground around that area, negating all attempt by the sellers to break down that structure. And in fact, when you look at the structure critically more further, you will see that following the impulsive move to the upside, it appears that after the sell pressure resumed around the 1.24500 level, we have a technical structure here that looks more like a reversal pattern in the form of a double top structure. And with this kind of double top structure, the demand zone here happens to be the neckline of that reversal pattern, and the only way this reversal pattern will be mature is for us to see price action do a breakdown of that demand zone to push price to the downside. And not only if a breakdown of that 1.185 happens, only then can we be comfortable selling the GBPUSD in the future. But if this does not happen and price action continue to stay right above that strong demand zone, we will have no choice than to continue to think of buying opportunity. Now, looking at what has been happening here throughout the month of February, we can see that price has been bearish, finding lower heights. And to emphasize this, we have this bearish trend line figured out here. So I connected the bearish trend line here, and look at what we have here. This is exactly where price closed last week, just right above the 1.200 level, which also shares a beautiful confluence with our trend line. So the buy pressure we have been witnessing around the 1.1800 level could become very valid if a breakout of that neck trend line happens, and that will be a signal that the trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to hold that selling pressure. And this level also shares a beautiful confluence with the 1.200 level. So with a breakout of the structure, buying pressure above this level will definitely be a signal that we might be going bullish on this one. So in order to have a better perspective into what is really going on here, we need to scale down to a much more lower time frame to see how participants in this market has been reacting to this current structure to decide if we are going to be buying the GBPUSD for today, or probably price will be respecting that trend line one more time in such a way that price breaks back down below the 1.200 level to incite a breakdown of the 1.18 level, which will likely be the first time it will have happened in month. So in order to have a better perspective here, let's scale down to a lower time frame to see how participants in this market has been reacting to the 1.200 level, which I said also shares a confluence with that bearish trend line. So now if we scale down to, let's say, the 4 hours time frame first of all, before we go into a much more lower time frame, this is what I was able to identify on the 4 hours time frame. Now if I zoom out into the structure here since the beginning of the month of February, so this is where the month of February started, you will see that it has been a bearish tone in this market. And to further emphasize the strength of the sellers in this market, we can see how price action transitioned into a descending channel. You can see after connecting the series of lower highs and lower lows, I have this bearish and this descending channel figured out. And with the situation of things right now, looking at how price action, the bullish momentum started last week from that demand zone here, we can see that price is currently trading right around the resistant line of that descending channel. Remember, this is the resistant line of descending channel, so this is where price is. And if it happens that we start seeing some reversal pattern around this area, we will have no choice than to look out for selling opportunities, as price might likely be respecting that resistant line one more time, as it has always been doing throughout the month of February, to send price crashing to the downside. But if the breakout of that resistant line happens and we start seeing buy pressure above that structure, we shall be getting ready to join another wave of bullish momentum. So in order to have a better perspective into what is really going on here, we want to be scaling down into the 1 hour time frame. Now on the 1 hour time frame, this is what I was able to see since the beginning of the week. So this is what we have here at the beginning of the week. We have a situation here where price action has started the week on a bullish note. Price is trading above the 1.200 level. Remember that important key structure we identified on the higher time frame. Now look at how the week started here. It started on a bullish note as we saw this engulfing bullish candle. Price started at around the 1.20350. We saw this first engulfing candle. We saw the first resistant line for the week at the 1.21050 level, where we saw selling pressure, which appeared to be a retracement phase of this impulsive move to the upside. Then we saw another bullish momentum here, closing in with an engulfing bullish candle again, which finally broke out of that resistant line at the 1.2050 level. Now with the breakout of that resistant line, this is a beautiful sign that we might be going bullish on this one. And to further buttress the possibilities of a bullish momentum here, I have this trend line which was initially rejecting bullish attempt during the course of last week, and not until on Friday last week we saw price action break above that trend line, sharing a confluence with the 1.200 level, and since then price action has been trading above that trend line. So now with the situation of things now following the breakout of that resistant line at the 1.21050 level, might likely be seeing this as a retracement of this impulse leg that started this week. So a retracement back into structure. Price is currently trading along that trend line I identified earlier. So I want to be seeing some buy pressure around this area, probably like a reversal pattern, double bottom structure, head and shoulder pattern, whatever reversal pattern you can think of that market transitions into on our lower time frame. Then you look out for breakout retest of structure, then we can join that trend continuation to the upside. But if you feel you don't know how to identify a reversal pattern around that area, well, you could just have your buy stop orders sitting above the 1.21050 level in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum to the upside. Now, if the bullish momentum here continues in such a way that price find higher highs, then a breakout of the 1.22100 level, another key level here in this market, will definitely welcome additional position in this market. So these are the things we are looking out for to buy the GBPUSD today. So we already have two structures. One is this trend line. So as long as price remain above both the bullish trend line here and the 1.210500 level, we continue to feel comfortable in our buy position. However, if it so happens that the trend line is breached to the downside, then definitely this might lead to a signal that a momentum shift is gradually coming in. And what do we want to be doing to join that decline to the downside? In this kind of situation, considering the bullish momentum that we have been witnessing since the later part of last week, we are not going to be having a sell stop order at this point, as we need further confirmation to join that decline to the downside. So if a breakdown of both the trend line here happens, or probably leading to the breakdown of the 1.20350 level happens, we already have a bearish signal, but we are not getting too excited at this point, as we need further confirmation to happen, which is likely going to come in the form of a retest of structure. Can be this 1.20350, 1.2050 level, or even the bullish trend line here. But the most important thing we want to be looking out for is a selling pressure below the structures to incite another wave of bearish momentum to the downside. And not until we start seeing selling pressure after the breakdown of that bullish trend line, not until that, we are not going to be selling. So once we see this kind of situation, we can place our sell stop order below the structures here to catch that move to the downside. And if a further breakdown of the 1.200 level happens, remember that very important key level we identified on the daily time frame, we definitely want to be adding more position to our existing trade. So this is how we are going to be looking forward to buy or sell the GBPUSD for today. So I have told you to guide our bullish momentum, or to guide our trading activity for today, we have this important trend line here to guide our trading activity, as if price remains above that structure, we shall feel comfortable in our buy position. And if that trend line is breached to the downside, then definitely we want to be anticipating a selling opportunity in this market. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section.